Hi, everyone. It's Reverend Dr. Katie. I hope you're doing well. Listen, it's been a little while since I've been live in here in the Metaphysical Christian. If anyone happens to be watching this on YouTube or on another platform, we'd love to have you in this Facebook group. And the reason it's been a little while is because actually I was diagnosed with COVID. Well into recovery now, but it's just been a long 2 weeks with a cough, got a fever, yeah, all of that, despite my practicing social distancing and everything. So it's been a little bit of a worrisome 2 weeks, and I've been in the middle of my own crisis, and everyone in my house has gotten this virus. So y'all, it is very real. I knew that before I got the virus, and having it, brought about its own worry. And its own shifts in my vibration. So that's why I actually want to talk to you, and with really good recent authority here, about how to keep your vibration high, even when you're in the middle of a worrisome time, even when you're in the middle of a crisis, even when you're in the middle of stressors, because those are pretty much guaranteed in life. Like, you're going to have those in life. We're all going to have contrast. And it's really about how we manage that when it happens, how we can manifest during those crises, and what we do afterwards. Like, what is the learning experience after, those particular experiences, after those moments of contrast. So I can speak a little bit from my recent experience the past few weeks with living with COVID and recovering from it, and still a lot of side effects. But this is actually applicable to absolutely any part of your life. So let's talk about how to maintain high vibration. By first, let me explain what is vibration. I might have to stop and cough a little bit as I'm doing this. So yeah, part of it. So your vibration again is the total signal that you give the universe. If you are a radio frequency, what is the frequency that you're operating at? That's your vibration. It's the sum total of your emotional signature, of your physical body, but also your interpretation of your physical body, of your thoughts, of your feelings, of absolutely all of that kind of sums up into the vibration that you send the universe. This is absolutely an important part of manifesting, of creating our reality, but also of experiencing and surrendering to the reality that is, present with us at any given moment. So during a crisis, we always have to ask, what is the signal we're sending out? What is the signal we've been sending out? And what is it that we want to come into our reality? So a lot of this means that we have to learn how to feel what we're experiencing, and do that without attaching judgment to it, without attaching outcomes to it, which is incredibly hard. It's incredibly hard. It is definitely a learned skill, but it's one that absolutely everyone can develop. So, as Jesus followers, we're always co creating our current reality, but also our current experience and interpretation of our reality with God. We are doing that as vibrational creatures, as vibrational creations that God has made. And Jesus, teaches us how to do that. The words of the New Testament teach us how to enter into this reality where we are always known and experience ourselves as children of God. So this is incredibly important, and this is my anchor when there is a crisis. So, when we do have a crisis, when we're having stressors, like I said, absolutely everyone is going to have them. It's not super helpful to pretend like they're not happening, right? But we have to experience them so we can get through to the other side. When we can experience whatever it is that has come into our lives, into our awareness, and actually experience it fully, which can be, a little uncomfortable, right? Like, experiencing the fullness of COVID is not fun, but it was absolutely necessary in order for me to get to the other side, to say, now what is it that I want? Now what is it that I've learned, that I am learning from this particular experience? So the symptoms that most of us are going to have when there is a crisis, when we're feeling the stressors, whether it's kind of a slow burn crisis or a full on right here in our face crisis, we're going to experience panic. We're going to experience worry. We're going to experience anxiety. And trying to deny those experiences means that they come back to us full force. Living through them means we can come out on the other side, manifesting a new emotion that we might want to experience, that we might want to have. So, where does metaphysics fit into all of this? Metaphysics fits into all of this so beautifully because it's our metaphysical awareness that allows us to acknowledge what is and also start to bring into our reality what it is that we want. And we do that through these practices. So, of course, the best time to develop the practices that will sustain you in any kind of crisis is right now. You want those in place before the crisis comes, before the stressors come into your life. And like I said, you're a human being, so you're going to have those experiences, those moments, these little learning, big chasms of contrast sometimes. And when those practices are in place before, absolutely before the crisis occurs, then your experience of the crisis will be greatly, greatly altered. And your interpretation of the crisis will be greatly altered. So these practices help us get out of the never-ending cycle of experiencing the anxiety, kind of denying the anxiety, interpreting an event maybe incorrectly, and then returning back into that anxiety loop. If we don't have these practices in place, then we're pretty much assured that we're going to stay in that loop all of the time. If we don't have good boundaries, good spiritual boundaries in place in our life, then we're going to kind of expand that anxiety loop rather than expand the loop of potential healing and learning. So it actually is those metaphysical practices that help keep our vibration high because they keep us centered in the here and the now, in the present moment. They help us look inwards. They help us really live that message that Jesus taught, that the kingdom of God is within us. And if the kingdom of God is within us, then it needs to be most accessible when we are maybe at our most kind of fraught. And when that is possible, then we can enter into the state of actually creating rather than only experiencing the terror, the anxiety, the panic. It's not that those things will totally disappear, although they might, and when they do, that's really wonderful. It's that we have a new way to experience them. We can come out on the other side with new awarenesses, and that in that moment, every single hardship, every single crisis, every single anxiety actually does get easier and easier because the practices are in place. So in a few scary days that my household experienced, I was able to use all of these metaphysical practices even in the moments of anxiety and access them and access radical, radical, radical energy for my own life and for those that I love. And then I was able to kind of transcend the anxiety and the worry some. I was still experiencing it, but I was able to transcend it because those practices are firmly in place. And then able to say, what is my next step? Because if the next step is only anxiety, then we're just feeding the loop. If the next step is something that is shifting us towards healing, then we have options. So these metaphysical practices do give us options. So how do you maintain your vibration, your high vibration in a time of crisis? We have to acknowledge and surrender to what is, but not overly interpret what is. Right? We don't have to give that a particular meaning. We don't have to be attached to an outcome around it. When we can let those things go and really stand firm in our practices, in our energy, in our metaphysics, then we can allow that, co-creative, beautiful spirit of God to come into our lives and help us create the best possible future as we're able to navigate all of these tricky waters. So I'm going to keep this short for now just because my voice is a little suspect still. Yep, there it is. So I kind of have a little bit of a threshold right now with my talking. And yeah, if you do have any questions, observations, if this is hitting home with you, please make a comment. You can always reach out to me via private message. I do have a training coming up, 3 different dates, 2 in December, 1 in January. So I encourage you to go ahead and sign up for that. We'll be talking a little bit more about your intuition, setting intention, and developing your gifts, developing those practices so that those are in place for you now. Because once they're in place for you for the rest of your life. And so I encourage you to go ahead and sign up for that training. It's at the bottom of the description. And yeah, reach out if there's anything else I can do for you. It's wonderful to be back here to be live with all of you. I'll be doing it again soon. All right, everyone. Talk to you later.